Welcome back. Well, a lovely evening and a happy Lundi Gras and Mardi Gras coming up tomorrow. Looks like the weather's going to be cooperative and not so cold and mild in the afternoons. And as we move forward, some spring-like temperatures in the forecast later this week. Let's take a look at our camera shot here as the sun setting in the west, and now we have dusk setting across the area. Still very nice across the region. And if you're heading on out, certainly you'll need jackets or sweaters for the Queen Parade tonight. So let's take a look at the big picture, and we've got a big setup here on the west coast. It's good news for the west because they've been bone dry much of this winter, but it looks like a series of storm systems combined with an atmospheric river is going to produce big snows. We're talking 5 to 8 feet of snows at elevation in the Sierra Nevada range, and then the threat of heavy rainfall, flooding rains. Meanwhile, for us, a ridge of high pressure over by Mexico is going to be moving northeastward and expanding, and that's going to allow for our temperatures to warm up nicely. At the surface, we do have high pressure just off to our east-northeast. We had cloud cover this morning. See how it evaporated this afternoon, and we had that cloud deck also to the west of us yesterday. It looked really cool. It looked like mountains in the western sky for portions of Acadiana, and then some folks are just under the cloud cover for a good part of the afternoon. But this evening, still generally fair skies, and that could set the stage for some fog. Now, going back to Saturday, look at all the severe weather reports that we had across the region. At least 6 tornadoes in Acadiana. It's probably going to be more. National Weather Service is still doing surveys across the region, but these are all wind damage reports and high wind reports, and then also in the red, those tornado reports as well. This is what the radar looked like, and we'll back it up, and you can see how the storms moved on through. When you had a EF1 tornado at Port Barre, about 95-mile-per-hour winds. There was more than likely a tornado right along Highway 182. I got some pictures in. The National Weather Service hasn't assessed it as that, but nonetheless, probably 95 to 100-mile-per-hour winds there. So at least maybe 7 tornadoes, and then one up by Pine Prairie was an EF1, by Crowley EF0, Lions Point an EF1 at 90-mile-per-hour winds, and around Carlos, Lake Charles area, 85 to 90-mile-per-hour winds with those storms as they ripped on through. Unfortunately, I wasn't in town, and I couldn't be on top of this for you during the course of the evening, but I was working remotely in Phoenix, by the way, with those storms. So as we move ahead through the overnight hours through tomorrow, we're going to see some fog and some cloud cover moving in overnight tonight, so keep that in mind. Temperatures starting out for our Mardi Gras for the careers in the 50s, but it's going to warm up quickly, and everybody's costumed and running around and maybe taking on some warm or some alcoholic beverages, so the temperature's not going to be a factor. Lower 70s for tomorrow afternoon. It will be nice and warm and breezy as well. Southerly winds gusting up to 20, so keep that in mind. So if the wind is at your back, the throws are going to travel farther away and be shorter to you. So I always go on the lee side. So again, you want to get generally on the north side of the parade routes, and you'll get the throws going a little bit further. So as we head into Wednesday, temperatures milder to start in the 60s and topping out upper 70s to maybe even lower 80s. And if we don't hit 80 on Wednesday, we may have a couple of shots at it through the rest of the week into the weekend. Model not going for a big area of fog, but I think we're going to see some fog developing through daybreak tomorrow, so keep that in mind. No advisories right now, but they may come in later on this evening. And temperature-wise, expect 50s as we start our Mardi Gras, and then temperatures topping out in the lower 70s. And again, parade goers, you're going to be in great shape for the career in the morning. Some fog, and be careful with the fog driving out first thing in the morning. Other than that, you can't ask for better weather for Mardi Gras. Temperatures above normal, well above normal Wednesday through Saturday. Then a front gets here Saturday afternoon, evening, maybe a few storms, none which should be severe, and then cooler weather, more like February for a few days next week, but spring springs back by the end of next week. That's it for weather for now. We'll have more coming up in just a little bit.